Hello, my name is Amy. I'm the owner of Amy T. Walt Studio, and I'm a printmaker and designer and illustrator based in Minnesota, United States. And I'm going to talk to you today about how I got started in Linocut. Linocut is a wonderfully accessible art form. You don't need a lot of money or a lot of expensive tools to get started. So I'm going to walk you through my whole journey going way back to college. So I went to college for graphic design and advertising, but while I was there, I needed to get some studio art credits. I've been an art kid for my entire life, and so it was like, perfect, this is awesome, I want to try something new. So I signed up for the Intro to Printmaking course and just immediately fell in love. I loved everything about it. We tried relief printmaking, we tried intaglio, we tried lithography, all sorts of different things, and I just loved how meditative the process was and loved doing the good peel reveal and seeing everything at the end, and I was totally hooked. So I kept taking printmaking courses all throughout my time in college, and by my senior year, they basically told me, hey, you've basically taken every course that you could possibly take. Do you want to minor in printmaking? So that's how I ended up minoring in printmaking in college. So I graduated and I had focused in intaglio printmaking, which oftentimes requires an acid bath, and working with sharp tools and metals, and moving into my first apartment on my own. Was like, well, I don't really have space for an acid bath. The local printmaking collective, High Point Printmaking, they are awesome and wonderful. I just couldn't afford to rent studio space. So I was kind of like, well, I don't really know what to do now. So I guess I'll just stop for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years. That sounds nice. So I stopped printmaking altogether for kind of the early part of my 20s, focused on my professional career and just kind of doing that side of things, right? Using my advertising and graphic design degrees to build a marketing career. And then in late 2019, I had started a pen and ink Instagram. I used to be more of a drawer in my hiatus from printmaking. So started an Instagram just for pen and ink illustration, and that was pretty okay, and I liked that a lot, but I still felt like there was something missing. I had tried a few art forms in my early 20s when I was kind of on that hiatus, and really nothing was lighting me up, I guess, in the same way. And I was like, what is missing? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, there has to be something out there. And the light bulb went on, which I don't know why it didn't go on before this, but it was like, hey, you should try printmaking again, like Linocut. You could do that. We had done woodblock printmaking in college, but I had never done Linocut printmaking. So I started looking into it, started looking at the tools and what I needed, and found that I didn't need a lot to get started, and I still had some really basic tools from college, so I was like, oh, perfect, this is awesome, I can just get started. And I did. So my first blocks were super tiny, like 2 by 3 inches, like little business card size blocks, and immediately fell in love with it. So that's really how I started with Linocut in general. I started joining challenges on Instagram, like Printer Solstice and Block Party with Gina, that kind of winter and spring of 2019-2020, and then, well, we all know what happened. The panini. And because of the panini, I was laid off from my full-time job. So suddenly I found myself with a lot of free time to do art and discover this art form. And again, Block Party with Gina came at just the perfect time. It was right over that time when I was laid off, was looking for stuff to do. So that really kind of bolstered my interest in Linocut for sure. And I didn't really think of it as anything but a hobby at that point. And then, you know, I would post the prints that I was making for each week of the challenge, and suddenly people started asking me if they could purchase a print. You know, I was just like selling them to friends and not doing anything too crazy, but then I kind of thought, well, maybe I should make a website. Maybe I should, you know, start a business. So I did. So I built a website. I got all my business stuff in order. I officially launched what at the time was Amy Matthews Art in September of 2020. So here we are. Almost 3 years later, and it has just been a wonderful journey, and it's so exciting. But if you are just starting out in Linocut, I am here to tell you that you do not need to shell out massive amounts of money to get started in this art form. It's very accessible, it's relatively affordable, and it's super, super fun. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the tools that I use and still use every day to get started. These are my total favorites. This video is not sponsored in any way. I just personally love all of these products, and of course they'll all be linked in the description. So, carving tools. I use Flexcut carving tools. So these guys are really affordable, they're really high quality, they're made in the United States by a small business. What's not to love? I bought the micro palm set to start, and then I've obviously bought a few more sets since then. But that set, I mean, got me through the first year and a half, 2 years of my Linocut journey, and I still use these tools all the time. They are just wonderful, and if you're just starting out, they're very affordable for really high quality tools. And of course you will need something to sharpen those carving tools, so Flexcut has this little sharpening kit. It's called a SlipStrop, so that's a technical name for it. It's very cute. And it comes with this Flexcut Gold, which is kind of the compound that helps to sharpen the tools, and it works super well, also very affordable, highly recommend. Now, if you're like, I need to spend like $15 or less on these things, like I do not have a lot of money, the carving tools that I started out with are these Niji Woodcarving tools. They come in a set. The last time that I checked, the set was $12, so very affordable for a lot of tools. I would still recommend getting the SlipStrop for these. It comes with a little stone sharpener, but I just think that the SlipStrop works so much better. Next is ink. Ink is very important, and there's two different kinds of printmaking ink. One is water-soluble or water-based ink, and then the other one is oil-based ink. And oil-based is usually considered to be higher quality, it's more archival, better for like professional results. Debatable, but whatever. But traditional oil-based inks are cleaned using mineral spirits or other like high VOC cleaners. Not the best for your body, can cause like brain damage, not super great. So I work with oil-based inks that are able to be cleaned with water and soap from the sink. So I use Speedball Professional Relief Ink. It's super high quality, really easy to work with, and yeah, it can be cleaned up without the use of chemicals that are bad for your body and for the environment. So total win-win. Now, on to the linoleum. This is obviously very important, but it's also highly based on user preference. There are a ton of different types of lino out there. Some are more of a rubbery consistency, some are that kind of traditional hard lino, and really it comes down to personal preference. I like working with both a lot, but my favorite is Blick Golden Cut. You can see this design that I haven't even carved yet. Exclusive sneak peek. So it's kind of this like yellowish color, and I find that it is a little bit easier to work with than the standard lino. It's called Battleship Gray, and it's the most like basic, ubiquitous type of linoleum out there, at least in the United States. And I think this is just like a little bit softer, a little bit easier to work with, less brittle, so easier to carve. So this is my personal favorite. Again, the Battleship Gray is definitely the more popular option. You'll see this stocked in stores a lot more often. I have to order this online through Blick Art Materials, but again, my personal favorite. So my other favorite is Speedball Speedy-Carve. This is the more rubbery material. I have tried a lot of different rubbery lino, or you might call it like stamping material. And this is just honestly the best. It's really easy to work with. It holds up really well over time. It doesn't like melt like some rubber does on like hot days, or it sticks to itself. I actually lost one of my very favorite greeting card designs that way. It was carved on another type of lino, and I left it out somewhere and it got all of these little marks in it, and part of it kind of like melted a little bit. Yeah, RIP. Speedball, Speedy-Carve, wonderful, excellent product, and my favorite. One thing to note is that rubber also takes ink really well and gives, I think, a better print. Traditional lino, usually you have to work a little bit harder to rub the design into your paper and not have the little like grainy texture in there, you know, where ink doesn't quite pick up onto the paper. Rubber is really good for getting a consistent, clear, full coverage print every time. So that's just one thing to note. If you're debating between the two, that's a major plus of the rubber material. Also by Speedball are the Brayers that I like to use, or the little rolly things for distributing your ink. This is a Speedball soft rubber brayer. I prefer them over the hard rubber, but again, personal preference. They'll say like online that one is better for a different type of printmaking, but I find that both work just fine for Linocut. So again, Speedball, soft rubber, perfect, love it. Now a really good entry level but still really high quality printmaking paper is this Strathmore Printmaking. I use the 300 series. They also have a 400 series that's a little bit thicker, but I find for starting out in Linocut, the thinner the paper, usually the better. That's why you'll see a lot of Linocut artists use like handmade or artisan paper that's a lot thinner than traditional paper, just because it's easier to transfer that design onto thinner paper. So again, you can buy this at Michael's and Blick and all sorts of places, but I use this for my open editions all the time. I use it for classes and teaching, and I think it's a really, really great printmaking paper that's also really affordable. Okay, last one, and this is the Baren. This is what you're using to make that impression with the ink on the paper. So I use just the Blick art materials, you know, economy Baren. I've used it for a really long time. It's held up really well. But also, if you're really looking to make a Baren on a budget, honestly, just like a big wooden spoon is awesome. It has the right kind of concave nature to be able to make a really good impression into the paper, and obviously it's also very affordable, especially if you go to like a thrift shop and pick one up for super cheap. And honestly, a lot of professional printmakers prefer to use just a wooden spoon as their Baren because it works that well. I used to have a wooden spoon, and then I kind of started using this and I liked it. Wooden spoon unfortunately was destroyed, so can't really use it anymore. Just use the economy, super great, love it. All right, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this inspires you to pick up Linocut as an art form. Again, it's super accessible, really affordable, and a whole lot of fun. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I love sharing parts of my journey and artist tips and tricks, as well as printing videos in all different types: Linocut, cyanotype, monotype, you name it. So go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring the bell if you'd like to be notified every time I post a video. We'll see you later. Bye.